One of my favorite things to automate is recruitment. Now, I've been in recruitment my entire career and I've been into automation since before automation was cool. But one of the key areas that I think benefits the most is when it comes to tracking resumes. Now, let me explain. So, for a lot of companies, they may already have an applicant tracking system that does just that. However, a lot of times recruiters will receive resumes from various different means. So not just from their ATS, but also through email, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, whatever. And there are still companies out there that don't have an applicant tracking system, and that's okay. So what we're going to build today is a way to automate resumes coming in from various different points and being able to log them, track them, and even, schedule interviews. So if that sounds like something that's of interest to you, then grab your coffee or your drink of choice and meet me at the computer. Okay, so here we are at the computer, and right now I'm in my Google Drive, and you can see this is just a blank folder that I've called resumes. If we right click in here, you can just do Google Forms. There we go. We've got a Google Forms started. So this is how we're going to do it. We're just going to have a form that's going to be an application form, and we can create that fairly quickly. We're just going to call this application, or you can call it for your company. You can call it whatever you want. So as soon as we name it here it's going to change. There we go. And then what we're going to do is make sure that we've got all of the questions that we need for a job application. To make it as easy as possible for your candidates, of course, you can limit the number of questions and just have certain questions that are going to be absolutely required. In the settings, we want to make sure that we make this a quiz. And the reason we make this a quiz is so that we can see who, like some knockout questions or whatever, we can score it. If you don't have to do it this way, but it's just one way to do it. But so you can make this as a quiz. And then we're going to turn off pretty much everything here. Responses. Yeah, we're going to do this, limit to one response, and we're going to say yes. So we want to limit it to one response because otherwise we're going to get somebody applying 100 times to the same job. So we don't want that to happen. We're not going to allow the response editing, and then the form defaults as far as the respondents, and then the question defaults. Make questions required by default. We're going to turn that off because we don't necessarily need every single one of them to be answered. So we want to make sure that there's the email. And now for our questions, it's going to depend. We can change the type of question, but this is smart enough to know what we're asking. So to change the type of question, so multiple choice, if you say full name, it changes it automatically to short answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run away and I'm going to fill in a bunch of these forms. I'm going to make this one required. I'll fill in these questions and I'll show you near the end. Okay, so I've just added, this is the last question that I've added, which is please upload your current resume. And here what we're going to say is file upload. This is the type. So for this one, it lets respondents upload files to Drive. We're going to say continue here, and this is going to create, there we go, and then we can see the folder, right? We're going to see a folder for where this goes. So we're going to allow a document and a PDF because any other types of content is probably irrelevant, as well as huge, like videos or audio files can be humongous. We're going to make this one, of course, required. Some of the other, and you can see here where you can view the folder where this is going to go. Please upload your file. So application file response is there. If I go back to my Google form, application file responses, and it's going to go in here, but that's okay. We can just kind of, so we can at least get to them pretty simply. But they'll be linked in our spreadsheet, which we'll see in just a second. So here we go. We've got this. Now, if you want to rearrange these, I've added this, what are your salary expectations? And if you go in here, if you click on the three dots, you can have a response validation. So I'm requiring it to be a number greater than 0. So if you wanted to rearrange your questions on the questionnaire, that is super simple. So we're going to start with email, name, and phone number. This one, have you been convicted of a crime for which a pardon hasn't been granted? This is something that is very Canadian and it's legal. So we're going to put that at the end, maybe. Right? So we can just grab these dots, upload salary expectations, areas of expertise. Now this, I've made this as a drop down with various, and required of course, with various different selections. This way I can just have the one form for every single job posting that I have. All of the candidates will go to this, into this one tracker. So that's in order to centralize everything. If you want to, you can just, if you have the same types of roles, say they're always marketing, or if they're, say, always Java developers, you can have one for front end, one for back end, and one for full stack, or something like that, right? If you need to break it down. But if it's the same role over and over again, this will be even simpler. But I would recommend having one for each, like just one central job application, but you can have various different ones. It really depends on what you want to do. So this is pretty much it. What we're going to do here, we're going to customize the theme a little bit. You can change the font, the text, the colors, but I'm going to choose an image. I'm going to upload an image here. There are loads of them just in the themes. I'm going to upload one. Okay, so I'm going to upload this picture that I've already made this one up in Canva. You can just go into Canva and make one that kind of suits whatever your style is or your brand. I'm just going to click done. I will have this in the description below if you prefer to use it. So now we've got this with a nice logo, and you can see all of the colors kind of changed, or the brand color changed with this. Now the responses, we're going to link this to a sheet. Okay, so we want all of that so that we can track it. So we're going to link to sheets, and we're going to create a new spreadsheet, application responses. It's basically just the name of your form with responses. That's it. That's fine. So we're going to create that. This is the spreadsheet or the tracker, but we're going to do one more thing to this tracker. As we can see all of the fields that came from our form. But what we're going to do at the tail end here to make this truly a tracker for us, I'm going to just click the plus sign here to add a column to the right. I'm going to add two columns actually. The first column, I'm going to call it stage, and then status. So this way we can track which stage the candidate is in, and then the status. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. And then the status is going to be, like if they're rejected or not, that kind of thing. And then maybe what we'll do here as well, like just for this next column, you can put in like the latest dates of something, or you can even put in your own notes just to have that, and it makes it much easier. Now, as far as the stage and the status, what I like to do here typically is to maybe insert like drop downs, and like this could be, for the stage, we might say new as a default, phone screen, interview 1 and interview 2. Just add another item, interview 2. And then offer. Now, what you want to make sure that you don't check, it's not checked automatically, but allow multiple selections. It doesn't make sense in this case, right? Now, it could be if there were, some that could happen at the same time, but we're just going to do this. Now, I'm going to just color code some of these, which is pretty simple to do, just to make it a little bit visually more easy to see sort of what stage a person's at. Initially, they're not going to be in any stage, and then the status, I can easily just copy this over. And then here, see this little pencil? I can edit it. So instead of new, it might be say pending, scheduled, rejected, and withdrew, because those are really the key statuses that you're going to find when you're recruiting. And I can delete this one, and I'm just going to change these two to red only because they're both, like, visually we'll know that those are a no-go. I'm just going to click done, and there we go. Now, one thing that's really good idea anyway, so you can see this automatically adds it in, but what we can do is just sort of put a candidate through this, and I'm going to use my own resume. So let's check that out. Now, before I go into the make.com scenario, which I know we're all looking for, let's just take a look at the form itself. I am going to, type in just my own email address here. So I'm going to say Nicole at there. My full name, I'll say Nicole F. What is your area of expertise? I'm going to just say human resources. Why not? What are your salary expectations? Let's just say $50,000. Upload your resume. I'm going to upload a file. There's the resume, and you can see it's a Word document. And then I'm going to say no to this, and I will submit it. Now, if I go into, there we go. Now, if I go into, I can see into the form in my drive, I can see the responses. I can see that there's one. Now, I didn't actually score that response, which you probably should do, but you can see here, application, we can see the application responses. But if we go in here, we're going to see the resume, and here we go, the resume itself, just right from your tracker, or you can open with Google Docs, which makes it even easier. Yeah, so what I'm going to do just for the fun of it, I have a really cool side panel extension called Verify. I'm already logged in. You can see here, free trial, 100 checks remaining. Now this is not going to be readable straight away, but what I can do is I can just kind of do Control A, Control C, paste it in here. And I can analyze the pasted resume right from here just to make sure that this isn't a fake candidate. And just within seconds, you will see the results. And there we go. So this looks to be A-okay, and it should be. It does have some gaps, but the great thing is you can see some of these anomalies, but that's okay. I can look at this myself. Now, obviously, I know this is my resume. I can see what my own anomalies are. But not only that, I can look at this as the reviewer to see, is this somebody who, I might not want to proceed with. And then the nice thing here is that I've got the resume snapshot. So if I wanted to cross-reference the resume to LinkedIn, I can do that so quickly and so easily, as opposed to having to have two different screens open. Okay, so one other thing I'm going to add to this, it's going to be several columns to our Google Sheet here. And this is just to track if an email was sent, because this is going to be really important when it comes to our make.com scenario, which we will get to next. So I'm just going to add 2, 3, I'm going to add 4 columns, and they're each going to be, so this one is going to be phone screen, email, and it doesn't matter if it's all in one word or not. The next one is going to be interview 1 email, interview 2 email, and then just say rejection email. Yeah, email. So this is really important, and we're just going to keep these blank for right now because it's going to, sort of trigger as well with our make.com scenario, which we're going to get into next. So if you go into make.com for the first time, it's probably going to look pretty blank. You can go into scenarios or from org, whichever. But here up in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see this big box that says create scenario. So that's what we're going to do. And it's going to be that easy. So here we're going to do is maybe calendar invite candidates. As they're not necessarily or we can just instead of calendar, email invites to candidates. So we want to make sure that we name this in a way that we know what it's called. And then right in the center, just click that great big plus. We're going to go into Google Sheets because we want to look at our Google Sheet. And what we're going to do is scroll down to this watch changes. So in order to do this, what we're going to need is to add a webhook. So we go ahead and you can add one. I actually already went ahead and added one. And I've got a candidate scheduler right here. I'm going to copy this address. And then where you put this in make.com is, or sorry, in make.com, in your Google Sheet, you need to make sure that you have the make.com add-on in Google Sheets so that they can speak to each other and it's really seamless. So right here, we just go into make. So from search for make and see, there you go. I already have it installed. So I don't need to click on that again, but just install it. It just installs instantly, more or less. Then once you've got that installed, you go to extensions, make, you'll have this at the bottom now. And then you go into settings. And now in settings, this is going to open this side panel up. And then you can just paste your webhook and you've got it right there. Now the sheet, that's optional. You don't have to put the sheet name unless you want to put in a range. If you only want to look at columns J and K, you'd have to say J2 to K, like 99.99. I find that can be a little bit tricky and sometimes it doesn't always listen. So I might be a little bit leery of that one. But that's entirely up to you if you want to play around with that. So I'm just going to click a save. And it does save. Here we go. Okay. Now that we've got our webhook set up, we don't go back over here. Come over to here. I've got to find my make.com scenario and then just click save on this. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Now all we have to do is we're going to be sending out emails based on our 4 different scenarios. So for a phone screen, interview 1, interview 2, and a rejection or disposition, as it were. Now you can pop a quick save here just so that you've got this saved as you go. And in order to do this, like to go from it's going to be either A or B or C or D, it's what's called a router. So we're going to use this flow control. And if you're not sure here, you can just go router and it will pop up right there under flow control. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so it fits on the screen. Now, the first thing that we're going to have here is we're going to send an email and then we want to update our spreadsheet based on those columns that we've added. So I use Gmail, but you can use Outlook, the Outlook one. So it's going to be this send an email eventually. The 2, I already know that's going to be in columns B. So if we come back here, I'm going to just close this one out. So we already know column B is where the email goes, or where the email goes in the sheet. So right here, we click in here, you go into row values, and I'm just going to click on B because it's going to pull from that row if that's the one that we are updating. That's the data that it's going to be pulling. So we pull up that. The subject for a phone screen, we can just say like your resume or something like that. And then body type. This you don't have to worry about. It's not going to be raw HTML. We can just say collection of context, text, images, etc. That's fine. And then in the body, we've got some text here. I actually have it on another window, one of my other screens. I'm just going to copy from there. This will all be in the description below, so you don't have to worry about trying to type this all out. But it's just a simple thank you for your interest, and here's, feel free to book me, and put in your booking link. You can use Calendly, or in Google there is you can create your own booking link. If you're not sure how to do that, if you'd like for me to do a walkthrough on that, leave a comment below. But it's really very, very quick. And that's pretty much it. Like unless you have other information you want to put in here, like signature, etc. If you don't have one set up, you can do that. Any attachments, but probably not going to need that. And then we're just going to click a save. Once we've done this, we want to make sure that we're updating the cell. You can either, we're going to use Google Sheets, and you can either update a row or update a cell. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to just go for update a cell, because I know exactly which cell we want to update. And for this, if we go back over here, we can see that for the phone screen, like whether or not this was sent, that's M, then N, O, P. So it's just going to be on and on. So the spreadsheet ID, we can just click in here because it's mapped. And I'm going to say resumes. It's in my resumes folder. It's just this application responses, the same spreadsheet again. The sheet name, it's only one sheet, so it's pretty simple. And then the cell, as we said, it's going to be M, but we need to have the column number. So that is going to be the row start. And that's pretty much it. But what we want to put in here in the value, we're going to say sent. Right, so we want to update that, and that's going to be really important as we look at our filters. So I'm going to click a save here. And so this one, I'm going to actually right click and rename. And I'm going to call this one phone screen. And then a save. And then with this, what we can do is we can add in, just click on that line, and we can add in a filter so that the only time it goes down this path is if certain conditions are met. So this one, I'm just going to call this phone screen. And then the condition is going to be that, if we look at these row values, that the status, if we look at this, so stage is J and this is K. So we're going to say only if J, and this is coming from this module here, if J text operator is equal to, and then here we're going to say phone screen. So this, it has to say phone screen. Otherwise, it's not going to go down this path. And then we're going to add an and rule. And we're going to say K is equal to scheduled. So once you click that in your sheet, that will trigger to send this out. But the other thing we need to do is make sure we add in the filter. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Add in the filter for to ensure that we haven't already sent one, so we're not spamming our candidates. So we're going to add another and rule. And if M, right? So that's the column that we just updated. If M does not equal to, and I'm going to say case insensitive, sent. That's it. So we've got this as the text is equal to scheduled, like it's a phone screen and scheduled, but it's not, but that other column's not equal to sent. So we're not continually sending out emails to the same candidate over and over again with every change that we make in our spreadsheet. So then we're going to just click a save to this. Now, here's a trick. If I hold down Shift and then so I can kind of highlight all of this, I can hit a Control C, Control V. That's 1, 2, move this over, 3. Oh, gotta break those apart. So this one, I'm gonna just delete this module. This one, and then this one. Oh. If you just kind of bring them close together, they kind of just automatically connect. And I'm going to just do a magic wand. So now that I've got all of this, the only things that I'm going to need to change now are like these two. I have to change up the filters to make sure that I'm kind of moving it all over. So if I look at this phone screen one, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just right click, rename it to interview one. And then with the interview one, I actually have another script that I would send because it's slightly different, right? And assuming that this is going to be an in-person interview, they don't always have to be. You might have different formats for your interviews depending. And this could be your resume. We might say interview schedule. Maybe that's what we want to do. And here you're going to say your location, like your office location, or using the booking link, etc. And that's pretty much it. We're just changing the subject as well as the body, and I'm going to click a save here. This Google Sheet, again, what we're going to do instead of M, this is going to be N, right? Change that to send and save. And then our filter we need to update so that this, if it equals interview one scheduled, and instead of it being M, again, it's going to be N. So we're just moving everything over by one, or not everything, but our update. Check that out. And I'm just going to click the N. And then click save. And what I'm going to do so that you're not there watching me do this over and over again, I will pause for the cause. I'll go through this, and when we come back, we'll take a look at doing a test run with this. Okay, so now that I've done all of that, here we go, and I'm going to pop a quick save. Now, one thing that I just wanted to make mention of here is that the filter for the disposition, we could, just by clicking the X next to it, I remove the condition for column J, because it doesn't really matter what stage the candidate's in. It just really matters if the status has been changed to rejected. So this is pretty much it. Now we can take this, or we can take this for a test drive right now. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this on immediately as I'm going to delete old data. Immediately after information comes in, and then the maximum runs to start per minute, I'm going to say 6, because that gives us 1 every 10 seconds, and it may take you 10 seconds to sort of make a decision. I think that would be great. I don't think you'll use 6 in that amount of time, so I'm just going to click save. So what we can do is we'll be able to see, once I go into here, I'm going to change this from new to phone screen and from pending to scheduled. And this should, in just a couple of seconds, as it's running through and grabbing that information, it should send me an email to say that, look at this, it says sent already. And so and here is, click on that. There it is. It's coming from this email address, and it's saying that we would like to schedule a call. So that's wonderful. Now, what if I say, okay, I've had my phone screen, and now we're not going to move forward. So I can just click rejected, and then in a few seconds, my disposition email should come up. And again, all of these, look, there's the sent. So we should see this notification come up any moment now. And here it is. So after careful consideration, we won't be moving forward this time. So there we go. Now we've got that email. Everything is in here. So now as you're just working through and looking at candidates, reviewing resumes, etc., as you're moving them through each stage and status, I'm just going to move this. There we go. As you're moving them through each stage and status, then your emails will just go through to the appropriate candidates as they're coming in, and you don't have to worry about touching all of that and all of that context switching. So there you go. So there you have it. Now, everything we discussed today, of course, will be linked in the description below. So if you are into the DIY side of things, then feel free, go ahead. You can use this for yourself or for one of your clients. If you need a little bit of help with that, of course, I also have a link below so that you can book me, and I would be happy to roll this out for you or a client as well. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy hunting!